Hi guys, how's everyone doing today? So I'm here in this lovely park and it feels so good sometimes to just come out and make some of these videos out in nature. Now obviously I try and find a quiet spot because it's a public place, and I have had cases where you're out in the public spaces and there's lots of noise, so hopefully that won't happen because I found a quiet little spot. And I just want to kind of talk about something which I know many of you will be able to relate to. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because someone that I admire a lot, her name is Katie Piper. People from the UK will probably be familiar with the name. She was a young woman in her 20s who was a victim of an acid attack. It was a massive news story at the time because she was an aspiring model, beautiful young woman, and her boyfriend got someone who he knows to throw acid over her face. It led to many surgeries. It led to depression. She felt suicidal, and I read her book and it inspired me, and it kind of made me realise that for many women and men as well, I've worked with mostly women on this issue, when they have physical changes, and this could be from a result of domestic violence, it could be a result of going through surgery, so that might include having breast removal, hysterectomies, any type of surgery which changes your physical appearance. It could be through no fault of your own, being in an accident. It could be being in a fight. Anytime you change your outward appearance, and that could be on your, whether there's any form of scar or injury on your face or your body, for many people it becomes a psychological battle, because then they kind of see themselves in a completely different light, and it can affect their confidence, it can affect how they interact with people. So Katie Piper is someone who went through this acid attack. She wrote a book about her experience. She's talked about her struggle with depression because she had to then go from being a model, from someone who was extremely beautiful, to then having to go through over 20, 30 surgeries, having to then see herself in the mirror and embrace the person who she was, with all the scarring from the acid attack. Now, what that shows is that she had two decisions at that point, and she did talk about this in her book. Do I give her? Do I just say, well, I'm no longer the person that I used to be, so therefore I'm going to just, commit suicide, I'm just going to go into this deep depression, I'm going to isolate myself? Or do I, accept and embrace myself how I look now? And that's the point, really. It's about making a decision that even if you've put on weight, you've lost weight, you're have had a physical change which you had no control over, or it could be cosmetic surgery that has gone wrong, so you made a choice but then it didn't work out the way you want. Whatever the circumstances, it's about how you then move forward and how you decide that disfiguration or that scar or that injury now becomes a part of who you are. You don't have to hide away and kind of be like, well, because when I was young and I was abused, I've got this mark or this scar on me. Because when I was in a domestic violence relationship, I've got these burns from it. Because I've been through breast surgery, breast cancer, I've had, I don't look the same, feel the same. You can't change those circumstances, but you can change how you feel about yourself and how you feel about that scar. So what I'm going to talk to you about is, I'm going to give you 4 tips, and I've wrote them down, so I might be looking down a little bit. And I just want to say as well, when a physical change occurs, an emotional reaction is normal, it's usual. I'm not someone who has any scars, but if I was to, be, God forbid, in some sort of accident, or for whatever reason I had, scarring on my face, I've still got to go out and present doing these videos. I've got to meet with clients as a counsellor and a coach. I don't know how it would impact me emotionally, but my feeling about who I am as a person, I would have to embrace or accept that this is me now, this is who I am, these scars are a part of me, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to continue. So what I want to say is there are 4 things that you can do. Okay, let's get the 4 things. The first step, if I can find it, is for you to see the change as a part of you and not separate. So many people will look into the mirror and they'll see they've put on weight, or they'll see a scar, or they'll see a disfigurement, and they will kind of view it as disgusting, or they'll use negative words about it, or they'll say, oh, you know, I don't look the same, or that's all they can see. They're just focusing on that scar. Now, if you turn it around, what you would do is you would see the scar, but you would see it as a part of you. Because if you're saying that the scar is disgusting, then you're basically saying that you're disgusting. And how is that going to be helpful or useful for you in terms of your journey? So what you would do is, instead of separating the fact and saying, well, I've got this scar, so now I'm ugly, or I've got this scar, so now it's disgusting, you're going to then turn it around and say, I've got this scar, it's part of my body, you know, I've got these stretch marks, they're, you know, you're attaching a positive memory to them if possible, but if not, you're just saying, well, this is me, this is a part of who I am. Number 2 is working with, not against, the change. So if you're working with towards change, like Katie Piper did, and that's towards an emotional change, and it might be a physical change, she would have had to psych herself up and get prepared for all of these hundreds of operations that she's had. If she decided to say, well, if I go into this operation, and it's probably better off if I'm dead anyway, and it doesn't matter what they're going to do to my face, I'm never going to look the same, I'm never going to feel the same, what's the point? She's going in with working against, you know, what's happening, but she took a courageous decision. She's an advocate for other people. She's continuing to be a fantastic TV presenter, regardless of, you know, probably some of the hateful comments she gets, regardless of probably having bad days. So you have to work with the change, not against it. The third thing is you have to be patient and accept that it's going to take time. You're not just going to wake up one day if you've had any sort of injury or physical scarring and just, you know, love the scar, love yourself. It doesn't work like that. You know, any coach that tries to just use these phrases and thinks they're going to just work for people, it doesn't. It takes time, so you just have to be patient. And the final thing you have to do is to just work hard to embrace the change, okay? And that fits in with being patient as well. The key things to do that are that when you see that scar, you have to work through the fact that whoever has created, because there's different types of scarring, isn't there? So if a scar was caused for an accident, you could be having flashbacks. You might look at that scar and all you can see is, you know, the car accident. I had a client like that a number of years ago. She could only remember the accident, so we had to talk through, she's no longer in the accident, that has happened. But what she can do now is look at how she can move forward with this scar but still be confident and comfortable and still be her. The other thing is, say if you've been abused or you've been through something traumatic, it's about removing the trauma, or because the scar is a physical symptom of something that's occurred, but the person who's created the scar is no longer there, so they're no longer putting those cigarette burns into your skin, they're no longer cutting you, but you might look at those burns and look at that cut and see the person or feel the same pain you felt at the time. That could be classed as post-traumatic stress disorder as well. So we need to work through those things. Take your time, embrace yourself, embrace who you are. Don't allow society's measure of, you know, what's beautiful, what's attractive, what is and isn't acceptable. You need to learn from within, really, and it takes time. Now, if you're someone that wants to work with me, for example, or any other coach, because obviously you have a choice of who you want to work with, you can get in touch with me either on this platform, but also you can go to Coach Marianne Hanson, my Facebook page, and there's lots of information on there about how to get in touch with me. I do coaching programs, 4-week programs, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. I also work with people just on an individual basis, and I do specialise in confidence and self-worth coaching. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope the lighting hasn't been too bad. I will see you all again soon. Have a fantastic day. Take care. Bye.